All right, so what we're actually going to do, I'm going to completely just wipe my server, and we're going to do a fresh install of Proxmox, and then we're going to go from there, get it all set up, and yeah, let's get started. We're going to get the newest version. We're going to get version 7.4. You can download it, but what I like to do is just copy the link address. That way I don't have to download it. And then I'm going to go into the LANA etcher. You can use whatever you want, like Raspberry Pi Imager or anything. And I'm going to paste that in here. So this is going to go ahead and query that. So now it has the new Proxmox. And then I just have like a little USB that I'm using. I'm just going to select that. And we're going to flash it. USB. And then what we're going to have to do is just put this into our server, and then we're going to boot from this USB. And then once we do that, we'll be able to install Proxmox, get it set up with an IP address, and then we're going to install PfSense on it. Alright, so I'm resetting my server, and then I'm going to hit delete. I think that's to go to my BIOS. We got our USB in. There, I should have hit BIOS. Alright, so now, where's mine? Mine's going to be... All right, perfect. So now we're going to install Proxmox. All right, so this first screen, we're going to set our hard drive that we're going to use. And so I'm actually going to use the Samsung one. We're going to go next. And then country, I'm in USA. Time zone, I am in Phoenix. Let's go next. All right, so now we're gonna set a password. So I'm gonna set mine real quick. All right, so now we're gonna set the like your static IP address. We're actually gonna change this, but temporarily I have to set this to my my outer router. So I'm gonna give it a address that I can find it on .20. I'm just gonna point it to the Cloudflare DNS. And then make sure you give it a host name of the one that you want to use. You will need, it will be important, but we're also going to go over that later. And then, so we're just going to make sure everything looks good and install. Our Proxmox server for the first time. So to do that, you're going to go to HTTPS and make sure you put that in, :// and then the address that, and the IP address that you chose. So mine was 192.168.0.20, and then we're gonna go to port 8006. And then it's gonna have you log in. So the username is root, and then whatever password that you put in. Awesome, so now we're actually set up. We're in our cluster here. You can see we can put ISO images in here. You can also do that download from URL, like I was suggesting. We can see our volumes, and I believe we can also add them. So I do have one in there. All right, so we got here to PfSense, and what we're gonna do is download this ISO. So just go ahead and select the AMD64, the ISO, and then whatever closest mirror to you. Then hit download. And then I'm just gonna save mine to downloads. You might have to unzip it. So mine's right here. Perfect. Let's upload that. All right, so I'm going to show you how to edit your network card because we're going to pass it into PfSense when we create it. So you're going to click on Proxmox, go to network, and then I already made mine. You're going to see, but you should see two names of a network card right here. And then just like I did this, you're going to create a new bridge. So you'll just create a Linux bridge. And then just, you can keep it whatever name it gives you. And then go ahead and make it VLAN aware. And then the name of the bridge port is the name of this. So like if I wanted to do this first one, it would be ENP41S0F0. Perfect. Then you could copy that. And then I give it a comment, like, so I named it over here, like this one I named LAN 1. Bam. But yeah, essentially like you'll have LAN 1, LAN 2, and then your WAN. So I have 3 ports. I decided I wanted to use my port on my motherboard as my WAN. Basically, I plug my router into my motherboard's network port, and then that's how I get the WAN. And then I reassigned one of the LAN on my network card. These are going to be the ones that are in my private network in my home lab. I assigned the gateway in that network. So I'll show you how to do that after. You don't have to worry about doing that yet. Skip this step. That's the only reason it's there. So just go ahead and set up your WAN and your LAN, and don't change the CIDR block at all. It's going to say 192.168.0.20 if you followed me right here, and just keep that as is. And then let's go ahead. All right, so I'm going to go through how to set up the PfSense virtual machine. So you're just going to do this here. You can name it like router or PfSense. And then the operating system, you're going to select PfSense. System. You can just leave all this default, select the engine if you want. You can do like 40 to 50 gigabytes. You can give it, 4 cores. Like, it'd be like 4 gigs of RAM. And then go ahead and pass that network card in. And then that's going to provision this machine. So it went ahead and did that. And then so now we just want to do one thing before we start it up, is we want to pass in those network cards that we made. So let's add 1 and add 2. All right, now we're all ready to go ahead here and click startup. There we go. All right, so now let's go ahead and get this thing set up. So it's gonna boot. Let's continue with default. Just continue default. Let's do all default. All right, so it's gonna ask you to reboot. So you'll just reboot your system. And this just takes a second. Awesome, and then it's gonna reload, and then what we're gonna do is look for an IP address. So we're gonna skip setting up VLANs. We're going to use VTnet0. We're just going to do nothing for right now. Boom, so it's going to configure that WAN interface. Okay. So if you look right here, it gave us this IP address. So we're going to go there. So 192.168.0. So 157? Yeah, 157. 157. And it's going to take you right to this instance of PfSense. And then the username is going to be admin, and then the password is PfSense. All right, so now we're going to click next, next. Do your domain that you want to use. So like you can do whatever you want. If you already have a domain that you're going to buy, I just like calling it PfSense and then like a subdomain. So like anything you want. And then for this one, let's just use Cloudflare. So 1.1.1.1, 1.0.0.1. And then those, you can leave the same. You can change your time zone. So I am in America, Phoenix time zone. There it is. And then on the WAN interface, leave it DHCP. You could just pretty much leave this all the same. So for your admin password, go ahead and set that up. Then we're going to reload it, and it's going to reload PfSense. You can do a quick check for updates if you want, but we don't need to. So I'll go ahead and hit finish. And then we are all set up. So now what we're going to see here is we're going to assign the interface. So what you're going to do is you'll see your two virtual networks, those bridges that we made. You can add those and then add two if you want. And then if you want to edit it, you can just click on that. LAN 2. Enable the interface. And you're going to have to apply changes, so make sure you remember to do that. And then go back to interfaces, assignments. We'll go on LAN, enable that interface. And then we're going to assign it a static DHCP. And then you're going to give it the subnet you want. So I already have an instance running, so normally I would do this one. 24, I'm just going to disable this. So 21, you can leave that blank and then just go ahead and click save. And then now we need to enable the DHCP server. So go to services, DHCP server. Oh, I do need to enable this. For this, let's name it 50. Or actually, I already have something on that. Let's call it 69. So now we're going to go here to the server. See, we're in the LAN interface. So we're going to enable DHCP. And then now we have to give it a range. So, oops. Let's copy this. And we'll go from 2 to whatever. I mean, you can set this whatever range you want. We'll go to 254. Just give it the whole range. And then this is where you could set your own DNS, but it's just going to inherit this Cloudflare DNS. So we're just going to leave that blank. You can leave everything else blank. If you do want to set up network booting, you can set that up right here and enter the IP address of the server. We'll go ahead and keep that there. Yeah, and then we are good to go. Just give it one more save for good luck. Then we can go back here. And then you can see that we'll have that set up. We have our Cloudflare DNS. There's our network. And then we can set up LAN 2 if you want. Just follow the same steps as LAN 1. And then now what we're going to do is let's set up a quick VLAN. So let's go to VLANs. This is in interfaces, assignments, VLANs. Click add VLAN. And then let's give it an ID. Let's give this a VLAN of 70. And then if you have a name for it, let's just call this one tester. And then make sure you select it on the LAN port, not the WAN, on the LAN. There we go. And then that is assigned. So now we're going to go back to interface assignments. And now we have this VLAN 70. Let's go ahead and create that. Let's rename it tester. Enable the interface. Static IP. Boom, 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 boom. Let's give it a subnet. So 24 is going to be just like probably what you're used to. And then let's go 10.10.70.1. Save that. Apply. Let's go to the DHCP server. There's our tester. Let's enable it. And then let's do the same thing. So 2. And then we'll just do the max range. And then give it default everything else. Go ahead and save that. Boom. So now we have a VLAN, a normal network. If you want to, let's do the firewall rules, I guess, real quick. So if you go to firewall rules, you can see all these ports. By default, this LAN network's gonna be able to go anywhere. So what we can do now is set some rules for LAN 2. So let's just allow LAN 2. We're gonna allow all traffic on any port. We're gonna go from LAN net. It can go to the WAN net. Actually, what we can do is LAN net to anywhere. And then, so now we're gonna do all of our blocking rules. So let's block LAN from going into, or yeah, let's tester from going into our LAN port. That's our private. We'll save that. We can hit this little copy button. And this is really a nice way of doing it. We're not going to let it go into LAN 2. Also make sure there's rules at the bottom because it does a top-down approach. So we'll allow it to go anywhere. Oh, we do need to edit this. Make sure, oops, hit apply changes real quick. Changes are applied. Let's pull this down, hit save, apply changes. I know this thing's a little finicky, it kind of is annoying, but we need to change this to tester. So click this pencil to edit, go back here, go to tester, save that, apply changes. All right, now we got that done. So that should be good to go. And then now we're gonna do the last thing you need to do is you're gonna go back into your Proxmox. And then you're going to go back to our network cards and you're going to update yours to be on your management network. So originally it's on this one. So what we're going to do is go ahead and clear that out. And then so that's cleared out. And then you're going to come up in here and then you're going to add yours in. So like if you wanted to do the 10.10.1.1 network, you're just going to set whatever your PfSense IP is for your gateway. And then whatever you want the address of Proxmox to be in there. And then put it on whichever card you want to use. That's going to be your management interface. So when you plug an Ethernet cable in, it needs to go in there. And then you're going to set that, just click OK. And then you're going to have to apply the network configuration. Also earlier, if you were trying to set up PfSense and it wasn't finding these cards, you might just need to click apply configuration. But then, yeah, you should be good to go. Apply configuration, it'll freeze up, and then you just have to change to your the new IP address and be connected to your network if you want to connect in. So that is what I have for you guys. All right, so we did a lot. We got our Proxmox set up so we can start virtualizing. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to deploy some virtual machines to that. But before we do that, we want to use Terraform, so we're going to need to set up a runner so we can actually do those. We're going to use GitLab, so that'll probably be the next video. And then, yeah, we also got PfSense set up, so now we have a nice network router that we can use to do some VLANs, do some cool stuff with. So you just got started. I'm going to go ahead and make a docs page, so I'll put the links to all the ISOs and little steps. I'll make kind of like a guide that you can do alongside the video. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and get ready for the next video.